talked about this. It's incredibly complicated, but I'm supposed to believe the guy who set this up is the same guy who didn't know it was wrong for him to take from one company and steal it. Isn't this the same guy whose parents are both compliance lawyers, sticklers for the rules? You're telling me that guy doesn't understand what basic fraud is? Incidentally, this is actually why Kevin O'Leary thought this was such a safe bet.
I'm a paid spokesperson to FTX and a shareholder there too, and big advocate for Sam because he has two parents that are compliance lawyers. If there's ever a place I could be that I'm not going to get in trouble, it's going to be at FTX.
Yikes. And yet, even after being defrauded, Kevin says given the chance, he'd bet on Sam again.
If SPF knocked on your door again and said, look, I failed in my last venture, I have a new crypto venture, I need money, would you back him?
That's a great question. No one's asked me yet. I think we can all admit, you can love him or hate him given what's happened, but he was one of the most brilliant traders in the crypto universe. He also built one of the most robust platforms. We used FTX actively. It was a very robust platform that allowed us to get information on a compliant basis. So I really like what he built.
Would you back him?
The answer would be yes.
Unbelievable. I don't understand how these people can't admit they were fooled by SBF and just end up making fools of.
I only showed that part because it just shows that these companies, these people, I don't find that Kevin to be some type of celebrity. I don't. I just find him to be a guy that may have done some good business and made some money. Don't consider him a celebrity, public figure, and nothing of the sort. That's what I consider. But what these companies like to do is get people that are familiar to many and sort of have them validate whatever they're doing, even though they may be doing something wrong, or just not really straight up honest, because people are going to see, oh, well, Kevin is doing it or Kevin is saying it, so, but that's the only reason I'm showing this part. The part that I'm getting to, it's coming up.
Themselves. Now, there's another part of this story I want to talk about, which was, of course, the revelation that FTX, the exchange, and Alameda Research, the trading firm, were actually sharing customer funds. And there's been some talk of, well, maybe this was just a lack of compliance or accounting. But I want to suggest to you that SBF was not lacking anything. He purposely and deliberately profited from the vague relationship between Alameda and FTX. And the first sign of this was when I spoke to an insider at Alameda. He told me that they would often use insider knowledge of the coin.
Keyword insider. So we're getting closer to the main point of me sharing this. We're getting there.
That were going to be listed on FTX, and then they would go buy those coins up, knowing that it would pump in price when it was finally listed. In other words, an easy profit could be made. This, by the way, is similar to what happened on Coinbase, and 3 people were arrested for insider trading in that case. But unlike Coinbase, this wasn't rogue employees. This was Alameda itself doing this. So let me get this straight. If it was criminal when 3 individuals did it, what does it mean when an entire organization does it? I even asked the Alameda insider if they thought that it was criminal behavior, and they told me, quote, it was probably criminal in hindsight. Yeah, you know about the 2020 of hindsight. Sometimes you realize, wow, that was probably illegal. Now, this insider evidence is actually further.
We're getting there, but also this portion of it, it just also goes to show it's always something that they're hiding behind to justify it. In our case, it's poker, it's online poker, it's poker in general. The thing that they like to use to justify the cheating, the scamming, the wrongdoing is words like variance and odds and edge, house edge. We understand the house has an edge, but there's a difference between having an edge and having a complete lock. And what these casinos, what these online sites have is a complete lock. It's not just an edge. It is a complete lock. It's a for sure that they are going to take your money. Because if you think about it, if it was fair, then it would be 50-50. That's what the flips are. That's what the numbers are. But it's not. It is not. We're getting there.
Validated by public reports that Alameda Research amassed swaths of tokens ahead of FTX saying it would list them, according to an analysis of public blockchain data. This is from the Wall Street Journal, and it just corroborates this insider testimony. There's insider trading going on at Alameda. So, do you think someone, Sam, who is doing criminal activity, is going to want a bunch of accountants and compliance people sniffing around? No. They're going to want criminals hanging around them.
Exactly.
So, with that said, and completely unrelated,
we're getting closer, folks. It's coming.
Guess who FTX chose as their chief regulatory officer?
Here it is.
This guy, Dan Friedberg. Now, Dan's past is very important because he used to work for UltimateBet, a poker site which got in a lot of trouble and has a very shady past for reasons we've explained before.
UltimateBet got in trouble because they were giving some of their players a god mode that allowed them to see the other players' cards, which would obviously be an advantage if you're trying to play poker.
Wow. So Friedberg was working for UltimateBet during these God mode days. And although he was never charged with anything, there is leaked...
He put that in parentheses, or air quotes. That still happens. It's still going on today. Especially in these unregulated sites, it is still going on.
Video coming out from him conspiring to hide the owner of UltimateBet from facing any consequences from using it. Here's Russ Hamilton, the former owner of UltimateBet, who used God mode and admits to making money with it, telling Friedberg that he wants to get out of this cheating scandal.
I feel, and I did take this money, and I'm not trying to make it right, Dan. So we got to get that out of the way real quick, okay?
So then Dan Friedberg replies to Russ that maybe they should just blame it all on a third-party consultant and say that was who used the God mode on their website instead of Russ himself.
I think for the public, it just has to be former consultant to the company, took advantage of a server flaw by hacking into the client, been able to identify exactly when sometimes he played with it, sometimes he played without it. Sometimes he intentionally won and sometimes he intentionally lost. Very erratic play. But we've been able to identify the times when the tool was up and their net wins. And that's what
And what you could also say is that the tool was originally set for a 15-minute delay.
and he
hacked it to a real time.
I think that's what we do.
So this is the guy they hired at FTX as their chief regulatory officer, a guy who once conspired to hide his cheating boss. And of course, there are more red flags about the relationship between FTX and Alameda. You might assume that, like, okay, if it was negligence, maybe everyone inside.
So I didn't really watch past this part. So I'm gonna do that now. But that's what I wanted to show you guys. These these are the criminals that are running these poker sites. And it only gets worse because remember, the main ones are unregulated and they are situated in places like Panama, and other offshore havens for, laundering money and all kinds of other criminal activities. So I just want to show you guys that, just to be aware of who you're getting into business with, or who you're giving your money to, or where you're playing, because a lot of this stuff still goes on, and these criminals that have been busted are constantly being able to survive by just switching up industries and taking their criminal skills and activities elsewhere.